I was elbow deep in a clearance bin of broken Christmas ornaments when the Northern Lights kidnapped me. Let me back up. My name is Noel. Yes, my parents had a twisted sense of humor, and I work retail at Bargain Depot. It's December 1st, the apocalyptic wasteland that is post-Black Friday. The store looks like a bomb went off in Santa's workshop. Shattered glass snowflakes everywhere, tinsel embedded in the carpet like glitter herpes. Some kid had puked on the animatronic reindeer and it was still singing jingle bells through the bile. I was hiding in the stockroom, eating stale break room cookies and contemplating whether retail work was slowly killing my soul or had already succeeded, when the walls started glowing. Green, purple, shimmering like oil on water. What the actual... The Northern Lights, inside a concrete warehouse in Pennsylvania. A portal ripped open in the wall like reality had finally given up on physics entirely. Then I was being pulled through, yanked by invisible hands that didn't care that I was mid-bite on a cookie, or that I hadn't clocked out, or that I had absolutely zero interest in magical kidnapping today. When I could see again, I was on my knees in snow, deep, Arctic, you're definitely going to die out here snow, that burned cold even through my cheap work pants. And surrounded by elves. Not Keebler elves, not cute little hat-wearing helpers from holiday specials. Real elves, human-sized, wearing serious winter gear like they actually lived in the Arctic. All of them staring at me with a mixture of desperate hope and barely concealed panic that made every Omega instinct I had scream, "Danger! Danger! Something is very wrong here." I said, my voice cracking. "What the fuck?" "Language!" A tiny elf with candy cane-striped leggings actually shrieked. "There are children nearby." "I don't care about children. Where am I? Why am I here? Is this a kidnapping? Because I'm broke, my credit score's in the toilet, so good luck getting ransom money." "The North Pole," a voice said from behind me. I turned. An alpha stood there. And not just any alpha. The kind of alpha that made romance novel covers look like amateur hour. Tall, at least 6'3", broad-shouldered in a way that said he could carry me without breaking a sweat, which my traitorous Omega brain filed away under interesting information. Dark hair with silver streaks at his temples that shouldn't have been attractive, but absolutely were. Green eyes the color of pine forests, except they looked wrong, empty, like someone had scooped out everything vital and left only the shell. He wore a forest green coat with gold buttons, practical but elegant, and he smelled like cinnamon and pine trees and something else underneath it all. Grief so deep and old it had become part of his scent. My Omega perked up immediately. Alpha, strong alpha, sad alpha. Alpha needs... "Shut up," I told it viciously. "We don't want any alpha. We've been single for 3 years by choice, and we're keeping it that way." But my body disagreed. My scent was already responding to his, reaching out before I could stop it. "North Pole," I repeated. My brain had short-circuited somewhere between the portal and the devastatingly hot sad man. Right, cool. I'm hallucinating. Definitely hallucinating. Probably carbon monoxide poisoning from the stockroom, or I hit my head on a shelf, or I'm in a coma, or... "You're not hallucinating," the alpha said. His voice was flat, professional, like he was reading from a script he'd memorized but stopped believing in years ago. "You're the new Santa Claus. You were chosen by Magical Christmas. You have 24 days to prepare for Christmas Eve." I stared at him. The elves nodded enthusiastically like this was completely normal. "I'm the new what?" "Santa Claus, Father Christmas, St. Nicholas, Kris Kringle, whatever you want to call it." He gestured vaguely at the winter wonderland behind him. Massive workshop buildings, actual candy cane lamp posts, real goddamn reindeer in the distance. Every year, an Omega is selected by Magical Christmas based on specific criteria. Pure heart, strong nurturing instincts, ability to feel and spread joy. You were chosen. Congratulations. Chosen by magic to be Santa? I looked at the elves. They were still nodding, completely serious. You're all clinically insane. I'm going home. I stood up, brushed snow off my pants, and turned to leave. The alpha grabbed my wrist. His touch burned, actual electricity shooting up my arm and straight into my chest, my stomach, places that had absolutely no business getting excited right now. My Omega purred, the sound vibrating through my entire body. Fucking traitor. You can't leave, he said, and I noticed his hand was shaking slightly where it gripped my wrist. My skin still burned where he'd touched me, how my Omega was practically begging me to touch him again. Make the best of it? I hate Christmas. I hate kids. I literally told a crying child last week that reindeer weren't real and Santa was a capitalist conspiracy designed to make poor parents feel inadequate. Perfect qualifications, he said, and there was something bitter in his voice that matched the bitterness I felt. You'll fit in right in with me. A small elf with bright purple hair and enough enthusiasm to power a small city bounced forward. I'm Jingleberry. Welcome to the North Pole. We're so excited to have you. You're going to love it here. We have hot cocoa and cookies and magic and... Jingleberry? I stared at her. Your actual legal name is Jingleberry? Yes, she beamed like I just complimented her. I looked back at the alpha, feeling hysteria bubble up in my chest. I'm in hell. This is actually hell. I died in that stockroom and went to hell. Close enough, he agreed, and for just a second something flickered in those dead eyes. Understanding, maybe, or shared misery. It's the North Pole under a deadline with failing magic and the weight of every child's Christmas on your shoulders. I'm Nicholas, head elf, workshop manager, your supervisor for the next 24 days. He gestured toward a massive lodge that looked like it belonged in a fairy tale, all carved wood and glowing windows. That's where you'll be staying, Santa's quarters. I'll show you around tomorrow morning. Tonight, get some rest. You'll need it. I'm not staying. I'm not being Santa. I'm not legally obligated by the magical contract you agreed to when you walked through the portal. Should have read the fine print. There was no fine print. There's always fine print. Magic is very particular about consent. He turned to walk away, his coat swirling dramatically in the wind. Over his shoulder, he added, Welcome to the North Pole, Noel. Try not to ruin Christmas more than it's already ruined. He walked away. I stood there in the snow, surrounded by chattering elves, in the actual Arctic Circle, apparently magically contracted to be Santa Claus. This was officially the worst day of my life, and I'd survived 3 Black Fridays. The lodge was obscenely large and aggressively, oppressively festive. Garland everywhere, on the banisters, around the door frames, wrapped around the massive chandelier. Twinkling lights on every available surface, casting everything in a warm, golden glow that should have been cozy, but just made me feel claustrophobic. Stockings hung with geometric precision on a fireplace so large I could have stood in it. A Christmas tree that had to be 30 feet tall dominated the main room, decorated so perfectly it looked computer-generated. Wrapped presents stacked beneath it with corners so sharp they could cut glass. It smelled like cinnamon and pine and cookies, and everything I'd spent the last 5 years actively avoiding. Previous Santa loved decorating, Jingleberry explained, practically skipping through the rooms while I trudged behind her like a condemned prisoner. He said it helped him connect with the magic, made him feel the joy he was spreading to children around the world. Where is the previous Santa? I asked, following her up a grand staircase with carved reindeer on the banisters. Jingleberry's smile, which I was starting to think was permanently affixed to her face, finally faltered, cracked. Her voice went soft and sad. He passed away. Last Christmas Eve, right after delivering the last present to the last child. His heart just stopped. She touched the banister gently, like it might break. The magic said it was his time, that he'd given everything he had to give. 50 years of Christmas, 50 years of joy. He just ran out. Oh shit. My stomach dropped. That's why you needed a new one? Yes, the magic chose you within seconds. It always chooses someone who needs Christmas, even if they don't know it yet. Someone with a pure heart buried under hurt. This is your room. Santa's room. We haven't touched anything. Nicholas said to wait for you, to let you decide what stays and what goes. The room was massive, easily 3 times the size of my entire apartment. King bed with a red velvet comforter that looked like it cost more than my car. Stone fireplace already crackling with a fire that gave off no smoke. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the workshop complex, where I could see elves moving between buildings in organized streams like ants with a purpose. And everywhere, on the walls, the dresser, the nightstand, the mantel, photographs of the previous Santa. He was young in some photos, older in others, but always beautiful in that soft, gentle way some Omegas had. Blonde hair that curled slightly, kind blue eyes, the kind of smile that made you feel warm just looking at it. Always touching whoever was next to him, hand on their arm, head on their shoulder, like affection was their default state. In every single photograph, the same alpha stood beside him. Nicholas. They were mates, obviously painfully mates. The way they looked at each other like the other person was their entire world. The way they touched, hands always intertwined, bodies always close, like they couldn't stand to be separated even for a photograph. The matching bond marks barely visible under their collars, silvery white scars in the shape of teeth. In one photo, they were in this very room. Nicholas was younger, his hair fully dark, laughing as his mate smashed cake into his face, both covered in frosting, both glowing with happiness. In another, they were in the workshop, Nicholas lifting his mate onto a workbench, their foreheads pressed together in a moment so intimate I felt like a voyeur just living at it. In another, they were outside with the reindeer, Nicholas's mate feeding Dasher a carrot, while Nicholas watched with an expression of such complete adoration it hurt to see. The head elf was the previous Santa's mate, his bonded mate, for 50 years, and he died. And now I was sleeping in his bed, wearing his title, living in his home, taking his place beside an alpha who looked at me with empty eyes. No wonder Nicholas looked dead inside. Jingleberry, I said, my voice coming out rough. Nicholas and the previous Santa were true mates, she confirmed quietly, bonded for 50 years. When Gabriel died, Nicholas almost died too. The bond breaking nearly killed him. Would have killed him if the workshop didn't need him so desperately. Mate bonds are like that, especially true mate bonds. Losing your mate feels like someone ripped out half your soul and left you bleeding. She touched one of the photos gently, Nicholas and Gabriel on their bonding day, both young and shining with joy. He's only alive because the workshop needs him, because we need him, because Christmas needs him. But he's not really alive, just surviving, going through the motions. A ghost wearing an alpha skin. I couldn't breathe. The room was too small suddenly, too full of someone else's life, someone else's love, someone else's ghost. And you want me to work with him daily, while living in his dead Omega's bed, wearing his dead Omega's job, sleeping in his dead Omega's bed? The magic chose you, she repeated, like it was an answer to everything, for a reason. Maybe that reason is Nicholas. Maybe you're supposed to help him heal, help him live again instead of just surviving. I'm not a therapist, I'm a retail worker who yells at customers for trying to return used wrapping paper. The magic doesn't make mistakes. She headed for the door, then paused. Dinner's at 6 in the main hall. Please try to be nice to him. He's been through more than anyone should have to bear. He doesn't need more pain. She left. I stood alone in a dead Omega's room, surrounded by his things, his photos, his life, and tried not to have a complete breakdown. The scent was still here, faint, faded, but definitely present, woven into the fabrics and the wood, vanilla and cookies, and that particular warm sweetness that meant Omega and safe and home. Everything a Santa should smell like. Mine was nothing like that. I smelled like what? Retail despair, suppressed rage, that generic pine-scented cleaning product they made us use at the store, whatever potential joy supposedly smelled like, buried under years of cynicism and exhaustion. I walked to the window, looked out at the workshop, at the elves moving with purpose, at the reindeer in their stables, at the northern lights shimmering overhead. I was the worst possible choice for Santa. But apparently, I was stuck here for 24 days. With a grieving alpha who probably hated me for existing, for breathing, for being alive when his mate was dead. Christmas magic was absolutely, categorically, unequivocally sadistic. Dinner was in the main hall, a long room with vaulted ceilings and more of those twinkling lights and tables that could seat at least 100 elves. The noise hit me like a physical wall when I walked in. Chatter and laughter and the sound of silverware on plates and someone singing a Christmas carol in the corner. 50 elves at least, all turning to look at me when I entered. The conversation stopped. "That's the new Santa," I heard someone whisper. "He doesn't look like Santa. He looks angry. Gabriel was never angry. Shh, he'll hear you." Nicholas sat at the head table, a plate of untouched food in front of him. He wasn't eating, just staring at his plate like it had personally offended him. I was directed to the empty chair beside him. Fantastic. I sat down, and the conversation slowly resumed, though I could feel eyes on me, judging me, comparing me to someone I'd never met, but whose ghost I was apparently living inside. "So," I said, because apparently I had a death wish, "your dead mate's replacement. This is awkward as hell." Every elf within 20 feet gasped like I just cursed in church. Nicholas didn't even look at me, just kept staring at his plate. "Yes, very awkward." "Wanna talk about it?" "No." "Wanna pretend I don't exist?" "Ideally, but that's not an option." He finally looked at me, and up close I could see the exhaustion carved into his face, the dark circles under his eyes, the way his jaw was clenched so tight it had to hurt. "How does this Santa thing work?" you're asking. "Yeah, since I'm apparently stuck here. You'll learn tomorrow. Training starts at dawn." "Dawn?" I grabbed a roll, suddenly starving. "What is this, the military?" "It's the North Pole. We have 24 days to prepare for Christmas Eve. That means early mornings, late nights, and absolutely no breaks." His voice was flat, mechanical. "Every toy must be perfect. Every list must be checked. Every child must be accounted for. If you can't handle it, tell me now so I can figure out how to save Christmas without you." "Oh, I can handle it. I survived Black Friday. I can survive Christmas boot camp." "Black Friday is not comparable to..." "Black Friday is capitalism's darkest hour. A woman once punched me in the face over a discounted waffle maker. Another woman pepper-sprayed someone over a TV. I've seen things. Horrible things. Don't tell me Black Friday isn't comparable to Christmas." The corner of his mouth twitched, just barely, like he wanted to smile but had forgotten how. "Eat," he said. "You'll need your strength." "Aren't you eating?" "Not hungry." I looked at his plate, completely full, food going cold, looked at him, too thin, cheekbones too sharp, skin too pale. "When's the last time you actually ate a full meal?" "None of your business." "It is if you collapse during my training tomorrow. Can't learn to be Santa if my instructor passes out from starvation and grief." His hand clenched around his fork. "Don't." "Don't what?" "Don't act like you care. Don't act like you understand. You've been here for 2 hours. You don't know anything about me or what I've lost or..." His voice cracked just slightly before he got it under control. "Just eat your dinner and leave me alone." I should have. I should have respected his boundaries and eaten in silence and left him to his grief, but my Omega wouldn't let me. "Alpha's hurting. Alpha needs care. Alpha is starving himself." "I don't understand," I said quietly, so only he could hear. "You're right, I don't understand what it's like to lose a mate. I've never even had a mate. But I understand grief, I understand loss, and I understand that sometimes when you're drowning, you need someone to throw you a rope even if you're too tired to grab it yourself." He looked at me then, really looked at me for the first time, those green eyes searching my face like he was trying to figure out if I was real or just another cruel trick. "Why would you care?" His voice was barely a whisper. "You hate Christmas. You hate being here. Why would you care about me?" "Because you're in pain," I said simply. "And I'm an Omega. It's literally in my biology to care when someone's hurting, even if that someone is a grumpy alpha who wishes I didn't exist." Something flickered in his expression, maybe surprise or something deeper. He picked up his fork, took one small bite, mechanical, joyless, but he ate. We sat in silence after that, but it was a different kind of silence, less hostile, more shared. I noticed things about him while we ate. The way his hand shook slightly when he brought the fork to his mouth, the way he kept touching the place on his neck where his bond mark would be, like checking to make sure it was still there, even though his mate was dead. His scent would spike with grief every few minutes, washing over me in waves. My Omega wanted to comfort him, wanted to press close and purr and make that sadness go away. "Stop it," I told it firmly. "He's grieving. He's off limits. We're just here to survive 24 days and go home." But my Omega wasn't listening. My Omega apparently decided this was our alpha, and we were going to fix him whether he wanted us or not. This was going to be the longest 24 days of my life. Training started at dawn. Actual dawn. 5 in the goddamn morning. The sun wasn't even up yet, just the faintest gray light on the horizon and the northern lights still dancing overhead. Nicholas knocked on my door at 4:45. I opened it in the borrowed pajamas Jingleberry had left me, red flannel covered in little Santas, because apparently Gabriel had a sense of humor about his job. "It's not even morning," I said, my voice rough with sleep. "It is at the North Pole. We're on Christmas time here. Every second counts." He looked exhausted, like he hadn't slept at all, like maybe he never slept. "Get dressed, meet me in the workshop in 15 minutes. Don't be late." He left before I could argue. I got dressed in the clothes that had been laid out. Jeans, a thick sweater, boots that actually fit. Drank some coffee that tasted like liquid Christmas and felt like it could wake the dead. Trudged through the snow to the workshop as the sky slowly lightened from black to gray to that particular Arctic blue. Inside was controlled chaos. Hundreds of elves working at individual stations, painting, carving, sewing, assembling, wrapping. Toys everywhere, dolls and trains and robots and art supplies and sports equipment and electronics and books and things I couldn't even identify. The noise should have been overwhelming, hammers and saws and sewing machines and chatter. Instead, everything flowed together like a perfectly choreographed dance, like music. Magic hummed in the air. I could feel it, warm and bright and alive, thrumming through the building like a heartbeat. Nicholas stood in the center of it all, checking a clipboard, directing elves, examining toys with a critical eye. He moved with purpose, with confidence, completely in his element. This was where he came alive. The only place, maybe, where he could forget for a few hours that half his soul was missing. "You're 2 minutes late," he said without looking up. "I'm 3 minutes early according to normal human time." "We don't run on normal human time. We run on Christmas time. Late is late." He finally looked at me, and I saw something in his eyes I hadn't seen before. Focus. Intensity. This is the heart of Christmas. Every single toy you see is connected to a child somewhere in the world. A wish, a hope, a dream they're afraid to say out loud. Our job is to make sure every single wish is fulfilled. Every wish? I looked around at the mountains of toys. There are billions of kids in the world. And we have 24 days, 500 elves, and Christmas magic that's been perfected over centuries. He handed me a snow globe, delicate, beautiful, filled with swirling silver mist. "This is a wish detector. Hold it. Think about a child who needs a gift. Any child, real or hypothetical." I held the globe carefully, thought about some random kid wanting a bike or whatever kids wanted these days. Nothing happened. The mist stayed silver and still. "You're not trying," Nicholas said, watching me with those intense green eyes. "I am trying." "You're thinking, not feeling. Christmas magic doesn't respond to thoughts. It responds to emotions, to genuine care." He moved behind me, close enough that I could feel his body heat, smell his scent washing over me. "Close your eyes." I closed them. "Now actually picture a child. A specific, real child. What do they look like? How old are they? What do they need?" His voice was soft, almost hypnotic. "Why do they need it? What would it mean to them? Let yourself feel it." I took a breath. Pictured that kid from the store, the week before Thanksgiving. Small, maybe 7 years old, dark hair, wearing a coat that was too thin for November weather. He'd been with his mom, asking quietly where the cheap toys were because money was tight this year. He'd found this robot toy in the clearance section, nothing fancy, just a simple red and blue robot that made sounds and moved its arms. But he'd held it like it was made of gold, had looked at it with such pure longing that it made something crack in my chest. His mom had gently taken it from him. "Maybe next year, baby. We need the money for heat this month." The kid had nodded, hadn't cried, hadn't thrown a tantrum, just said, "Okay, Mama," and put the robot back on the shelf with careful hands. As they'd walked away, he'd looked back at it once, just once, like memorizing it. I remembered thinking he was a good kid, a kid who understood sacrifice, a kid who loved his mom more than he wanted a toy, a kid who deserved better than no heat and no toys and no Christmas. The snow globe grew warm in my hands, hot almost, burning. I opened my eyes. It was glowing, bright gold light swirling inside like captured sunlight, like hope made visible. "There," Nicholas breathed, and his voice was different, softer, wonder in it. "That's the magic. That's what Santa feels, what Santa is. Hope, joy, the bone-deep belief that someone, somewhere, cares enough to make wishes come true." I couldn't stop staring at the globe, at the light, at the proof that magic was real, and it responded to me. "The kid from the store wanted a robot," I said roughly. "Then he'll get one, the best one we can make." Nicholas reached around me and took the globe carefully, his fingers brushing mine. The contact sent electricity up my arm. "Every single toy in this workshop is connected to a child like that. A wish, a need, a hope they're carrying in their heart. And on Christmas Eve, you'll deliver all of them. You'll make sure every child who believes, who needs magic, gets their miracle." I turned to look at him. He was close, so close I could see the silver flecks in his green eyes, the way his pupils were dilated. That's actually kind of beautiful." "It is." For the first time, his expression softened, opened up. "Despite everything you think about commercialized Christmas, this part, the actual magic, the actual giving, the actual love, it's real, it's good, it matters. It's the only thing that matters." "You love this," I understanding flooding through me. "The magic, the giving, making kids happy, you love it." His expression shuddered immediately, walls slamming back down. "I did, once. But not anymore? Not since—" He stopped, swallowed hard, looked away. "The magic doesn't work properly if Santa and the head elf don't bond, don't work together seamlessly, don't believe in the same things. My maid and I were bonded for 50 years. The magic was effortless, intuitive, perfect. Now I'm working with someone new, and I don't know how to do this without him. Every corner of this workshop has memories of Gabriel, every toy, every tradition. He's everywhere and he's nowhere, and He cut himself off, turned away sharply. I could see his shoulders shaking. My Omega was screaming at me. "Comfort him. Alpha is in pain. Go to him. Help him." I stepped forward, put my hand on his shoulder, tentative, ready to pull back if he'd rejected it. He didn't reject it. "So teach me," I said quietly. "Not him, not Gabriel's ghost, me. I'm not your mate. I'm not trying to replace him. I couldn't replace him even if I wanted to. He was clearly incredible, and you loved him, and that's sacred. I'm just the asshole Christmas magic kidnapped for reasons I don't understand. But I'm here. I'm real. I'm standing in front of you." I squeezed his shoulder gently. "Teach me how to be Santa. Teach me how to make this magic work. Just you and me, no ghosts, just us." He was silent for a long moment. Then he turned back to face me, and his eyes were red-rimmed, wet. "Just us," he repeated, like testing the words. "Just us," I confirmed. He studied my face for a long moment, searching for something. Whatever he found, it seemed to satisfy him. "All right," he said finally, his voice still rough but steady. "Just us. No more comparisons, no more ghosts." He took a shaky breath. "You ready to actually learn how to be Santa?" "As ready as I'll ever be." "Good." He almost smiled. Almost. "Because you have 23 days left and about 1,000,000 things to learn, starting with the reindeer." The reindeer stables were incredible, massive wooden structure, heated by magic, smelling like hay and animals and something else, something wild and powerful that made my Omega sit up and pay attention. "They're not like regular reindeer," Nicholas warned as we approached. "They're magical creatures, ancient, powerful. They choose Santa as much as the magic does. If they reject you, Christmas fails? "Christmas fails," he confirmed grimly. "They barely tolerated Gabriel at first. Took him weeks to earn their trust. I'm not sure they'll accept someone new so quickly." He opened the door. 8 reindeer stood in spacious stalls, each one massive, bigger than horses, with antlers that glowed faintly with bioluminescent light. Their eyes were intelligent, aware, knowing in a way that made my skin prickle. The lead reindeer, Dasher, according to the nameplate, turned to look at us. At me. He was the largest, the oldest, with silver in his fur and antlers that branched like lightning. His eyes were dark and deep and full of judgment. He snorted, stamped his hoof, a clear warning. "Easy," Nicholas said, quietly, putting a hand on my shoulder. "He's protective of the role of Santa. He loved Gabriel deeply, lost him too. He's not gonna make this easy." I stepped forward slowly, hands visible, non-threatening. "Hey, Dasher," I said quietly, keeping my voice calm. "I know I'm not Gabriel. I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to replace him or pretend he didn't exist. I know he was special. I know you loved him." I took another step. "I'm just me, trying to do this job, trying not to fuck it up too badly, trying to make sure the kids who need Christmas actually get it." Dasher stared at me, unmoving, assessing. Then he walked forward. I held my breath. He came right up to me, towering over me, his breath hot on my face. Then he lowered his glowing head and pressed his nose directly to my chest, right over my heart. I felt it, a rush of something. Magic, recognition, a sense of being seen all the way through, every hidden corner of my soul examined and weighed. The reindeer's eyes closed. He breathed in my scent deeply. Then he made a sound, low, gentle, almost like a purr. He approved. "Holy shit," Nicholas breathed behind me. He's accepting you already. That's impossible." "Guess I'm special," I said, reaching up slowly to touch Dasher's soft muzzle. The reindeer leaned into the touch, eyes still closed. One by one, the other reindeer came forward. Dancer, prancing and playful, immediately trying to nuzzle into my pockets for treats. Prancer, vain and beautiful, allowing me to admire him. Vixen, clever-eyed, testing me with little nudges. Comet, impatient, already wanting to fly. Cupid, sweet and romantic, pressing his head to my shoulder like a hug. Donner and Blitzen, the youngest pair, energetic and curious, investigating me from every angle. And finally, Rudolph, smaller than the others, his nose glowing brilliant red, walking up with careful dignity and touching his nose to mine in what felt like a blessing. They accepted me. All of them. In minutes. "I don't understand," Nicholas said, and there was wonder in his voice, confusion. "Gabriel was perfect for this role, and it took weeks. You've been here less than a day, and they're acting like like I'm supposed to be here?" I suggested, scratching Rudolph behind the ears as the reindeer made pleased sounds. "Yeah," Nicholas moved closer, watching the reindeer interact with me. "Like you're exactly where you belong." Our eyes met. Something passed between us. Something neither of us was ready to name. "Maybe I am," I said quietly. His scent shifted, changed. The grief was still there, but underneath it now was something else, something warmer, something that made my Omega perk up with interest. Alpha noticed us, Alpha interested, Alpha... "Not yet," I told it firmly. "He's still healing. We're not going to rush this." But my body disagreed. My scent was already responding to his, reaching out, trying to soothe and comfort and connect. Nicholas noticed. His nostrils flared. His eyes darkened. "Your scent," he said, voice going rough. It's different." "Different how?" He stopped, shook his head. "Never mind. We should get back to training. You have a lot to learn and not much time." He turned and walked away quickly, but not before I saw the flush rising on his neck. My Omega was satisfied. Alpha noticed. Alpha wants progress. This was dangerous. This was very dangerous. I was falling for a grieving Alpha who would probably never be ready to love again. And we still had 23 days trapped together. The days blurred together after that. Day 3, learning the nice and naughty lists, except they weren't what I expected. The lists aren't about punishment, Nicholas explained, opening 2 massive leather-bound books in Santa's office, the office that still smelled like vanilla and sugar cookies, still had Gabriel's handwriting in the margins. They're about understanding. I opened the black book, the naughty list, expected to see crimes, violence, cruelty. Instead, Tommy Chen, age 7, hit his sister because he was scared she'd get more attention after she won the spelling bee, cried afterward, apologized, trying to learn to handle jealousy better. Mira Rodriguez, age 9, stole money from her mom's purse to buy lunch because she was too embarrassed to ask for help, family struggling financially, child going hungry at school. Jacob Morrison, age 11, failing classes, acting out, pushing friends away, parents divorcing, doesn't know how to process the pain. This isn't naughty, I said, my throat tight. These are just kids struggling. Exactly, Nicholas leaned over my shoulder, close enough that his scent wrapped around me. Every child makes mistakes. Every child has hard days. The naughty list isn't about punishment. It's about identifying which children are hurting, which ones need extra love, extra attention, extra magic. They get special gifts, things that heal, things that help. So everyone gets presents? Everyone gets something. He turned pages, showing me more names, more stories. The children on the nice list get gifts that celebrate who they are, their interests, their passions, their growth. The children on the naughty list get gifts that teach, that comfort, that show them someone sees their struggle and cares anyway. I read entry after entry, each one a small heartbreak, each one a child trying their best in impossible situations. Gabriel wrote these, Nicholas said softly, touching the handwriting in the margins, little notes, observations, reminders. Remember, Tommy's sister got the puppy he wanted, maybe a special robot this year, something just for him. He knew every child, remembered their stories year to year, watched them grow, celebrated their victories, mourned their losses. His voice cracked. He loved them all, every single one. I looked at him, saw the tears on his face he wasn't bothering to hide. You helped him, I said. It wasn't a question. For 50 years, every name, every story, every gift. He closed the book gently. It was our purpose, our calling, making sure no child was forgotten, no struggle was ignored, no hope was crushed. It's beautiful, I whispered. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It was Gabriel's gift, his magic. He looked at me, his green eyes devastated. I don't know how to do this without him. Every name reminds me of him. Every story is one we discovered together. How am I supposed to... You're not supposed to do it without him. You're supposed to do it with him. His memory, his love, his 50 years of caring. I touched the book gently. And with me, someone new, someone who sees these kids and wants to help them just like he did. You care about them. It wasn't a question, but there was wonder in his voice. You actually care, even though you said you hated children. I hate other people's children when they're screaming in retail stores at 6 a.m. These kids, reading their stories, understanding their struggles. I looked at Tommy's entry again, the boy who hit his sister out of fear and immediately regretted it. These kids deserve everything. They deserve magic and hope and someone who gives a shit. Nicholas made a sound, half laugh, half sob. You're perfect for this, he said. The magic knew. It brought exactly who Christmas needed. Our eyes met. Held. The air between us felt charged, electric. Then he cleared his throat and stepped back. Come on, we have 500 more names to review before dinner. Day 7, the toy workshop, learning how Santa magic actually worked. Nicholas handed me a carved wooden horse, plain, unfinished, just bare wood in the shape of an animal. Every toy starts as a wish, Nicholas explained. We stood on a balcony overlooking the workshop floor, watching hundreds of elves work. A child makes a wish. That wish travels through belief, through pure hope, and arrives here as magical essence. The elves shape that essence into physical form. But it's not complete, not yet. He gestured to the horse in my hands. Your magic completes it. Omega magic, the magic of nurturing, caring, loving. Hold it. Think about the child who wished for it. I held the horse, closed my eyes, felt for the connection, and found her. A little girl, maybe 6, living on a farm that was struggling. They'd have to sell the horses last year, all of them, including her favorite mare named Starlight. She missed Starlight desperately, dreamed about her every night, wished she could have her back. She couldn't have a real horse, but maybe... I felt the wish, felt her longing, her love, her pure child's hope that maybe, just maybe, Santa could bring her something to remember Starlight by. My scent flooded out, instinctive, automatic. Snow and pine and that potential joy Jingleberry had mentioned, but stronger now, warmer, mixed with genuine care, genuine love for this child I'd never met. The horse in my hands grew warm, glowed. Colors spread across the wood like watercolor on paper. Rich chestnut brown, a white star on the forehead, kind eyes. Details emerged, a flowing mane, realistic muscles, a tail that looked soft. It became beautiful, perfect, exactly like Starlight. When I opened my eyes, I was holding a masterpiece. "There," Nicholas breathed beside me, his voice full of awe. "That's Santa magic. That's you." I stared at the horse, my hands shaking. "I made this? You completed it, gave it love, made it special." He touched the horse gently, reverently. "Without Santa's Omega magic, toys are just objects, nicely made but soulless. With it, they become miracles. They become exactly what each child needs." You looked at me. "That's why we need you. That's why the magic chose you." "Because I can make toys glow?" "Because you can love, even when you don't want to, even when you fight it. Your heart is pure, Noel. The magic saw it even when you couldn't." I couldn't breathe. The way he was looking at me like I was something precious, something important, made my chest ache. "Gabriel, let's keep going," he said quickly, stepping back, walls going up again. "You have thousands more toys to complete. We're behind schedule." But his scent had changed, warmed. The grief was still there, but something else was growing underneath, something that smelled like hope. Day 12. I caught him in Gabriel's room. It was 2 a.m. I couldn't sleep, kept thinking about the children, their wishes, the weight of Christmas on my shoulders. I'd gotten up to make tea, walked past Gabriel's room. They'd moved me to a different bedroom after the first week, gave me space to make it my own, and heard crying. Soft, broken, devastating crying. I should have walked away, should have given him privacy. I couldn't. I opened the door quietly. Nicholas sat on Gabriel's bed, perfectly preserved, like a shrine, holding one of Gabriel's sweaters and sobbing. Not quiet tears, full body-shaking sobs, the kind that came from somewhere so deep they hurt to witness. "I miss you," he was saying to the sweater, to the ghost, to the empty room. "I miss you so fucking much. I don't know how to do this without you. The new Santa is good, Gabriel. He's so good. He cares about the children just like you did. The magic responds to him like it responded to you. The reindeer love him. The elves love him." His voice broke completely. "And I'm starting to love him too, and I feel like I'm betraying you. I feel like I'm replacing you. I feel like if I move on, if I let myself be happy again, it means you didn't matter, that our 50 years together didn't matter." My heart shattered. I stepped into the room. "Nicholas." He looked up, startled, face wet with tears, eyes devastated. "No, you didn't. You shouldn't." "Gabriel wouldn't want this," I said gently, moving closer. "You know he wouldn't. You didn't know him. I know what I see in the photos, in the memories, in the way everyone talks about him." I sat beside him on the bed. "He loved you completely. 50 years of love. That kind of love doesn't want the person left behind to suffer forever. It wants them to live. How do you know? Because that's what love is." I took his hand carefully. "Love isn't possession. It's not, you can only ever be mine, and if I'm gone, you have to be alone forever. Love is wanting the person you love to be happy. even if you're not there to see it. I loved him so much, Nicholas was crying again, gripping my hand like a lifeline. I loved him for 50 years. How do I let that go? You don't let it go, I said firmly. You never let it go. Gabriel is part of you, part of your history, part of who you are. Loving someone new doesn't erase him. It honors him. It says, you taught me how to love, and that love was so good, so pure, that I want to experience it again. I'm scared, he whispered. I'm scared to care about you. I'm scared to lose someone again. I'm scared I'll fail you like I failed him. You didn't fail him. I squeezed his hand. He died doing what he loved, making children happy, spreading joy. That's not failure. That's a life well lived. Nicholas turned to look at me, his face inches from mine. The magic chose you for a reason. Maybe it chose me for you, I said quietly. Maybe Christmas needed a new Santa, but maybe you needed someone too. Someone to remind you that life goes on, that love doesn't die just because the person does. No, his voice was raw, wrecked. I'm not Gabriel. I'll never be Gabriel. I'm grumpy and antisocial, and I swear too much, and I don't decorate for fun. But I care about you. I care about this place. I care about those children. And maybe, I took a breath, maybe that's enough. Maybe we can build something new, not a replacement, something different. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he kissed me. Desperate, messy, tasting like tears and grief and hope all mixed together. I kissed back just as desperately, my Omega singing with joy, with rightness. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, he pressed his forehead to mine. I'm not ready, he whispered. I know. I still love him. I know, you should. You always should. But I'm starting to love you too. My heart stopped. Nicholas, I'm not ready, he repeated. But I want to try. I want to see where this goes. I want to, his voice broke. I want to be happy again. I want to live again. And you make me feel alive. I cupped his face gently. Then we take it slow, one day at a time. No pressure, no expectations, just us. Just us, he agreed. He kissed me again, softer this time, sweeter. And I felt it, the beginning of something new, something fragile but real. We fell asleep in Gabriel's room, holding each other, and I swear I felt a presence there with us, warm, approving, blessing. Gabriel letting him go. Day 15. My heat hit early. We were in the workshop doing quality control when the first wave struck. One moment I was examining a doll's dress for imperfections. The next, fire flooded my system and my knees gave out. No, Nicholas caught me before I hit the ground. What's wrong? Heat. Early. Stress triggered it. I have suppressants in my room. Suppressants don't work at the North Pole. His eyes went wide, pupils dilating as my scent changed, sweetened, became desperate. Every elf in the workshop stopped, stared. Get him to the safe room now, before it gets worse, Jingleberry said urgently. Nicholas lifted me like I weighed nothing, carrying me out of the workshop toward the lodge. Every step jostled me, sent sparks through my oversensitive body. I'm sorry, I panted against his neck. I didn't know, didn't realize. Not your fault. His voice was strained, tight. My rut is triggering. Your scent is... Fuck, Noel, you smell incredible. You can't... Your mate... My mate is dead, he said. And there was grief in his voice, but also something else. Something fierce. And you're here. You're alive. You're mine. Nicholas, tell me no, he said roughly, kicking open the door to a room I'd never seen before. Small, warm, filled with blankets and pillows, and everything an Omega in heat would need. Tell me no, and I'll leave you alone. I'll stand guard outside. I'll make sure you're safe, but tell me no if you don't want this. He set me down in the nest of blankets. I looked up at him. His eyes were gold now, rut taking over, his scent thick with need and want, and mine, mine, mine. I should say no. He was grieving. This was too fast. We barely knew each other. but my heat was making me honest, stripping away every defense, every lie I'd told myself. "Yes," I whispered. "Please, Alpha, please." He made a sound, half groan, half growl. "You're sure? Because once I start, I won't stop. The rut won't let me stop." "I'm sure." I reached for him. "I want you. I've wanted you since I got here, since I caught your scent and my Omega recognized you as ours." "Your Omega is very possessive," he said, something like a smile crossing his face, even as he started stripping off his clothes. "Your Alpha is very sad," I countered, pulling off my own shirt with shaking hands. "We match." He laughed, actually laughed, and it was the most beautiful sound I'd ever heard. Then he was on me. The heat was brutal. 3 days of burning need, of desperate coupling, of Nicholas's knot locking us together over and over while we both lost our minds to biology and instinct and something deeper. But it wasn't just physical. Between the waves of heat and rut, we talked. "Tell me about Gabriel," I said during one calm period, curled against his chest, his knot still locked inside me. "What do you want to know?" "Everything. I want to know who he was, what he loved, what made you fall in love with him." Nicholas was quiet for a moment. Then, he laughed at everything. Couldn't tell a joke before laughing before the punchline. He baked when he was stressed. That's why there are always cookies at the North Pole. He cried at sad movies, even though he'd seen them 100 times. He collected those terrible snow globes with the glitter that never settled quite right. He sang off-key in the shower. His voice broke. He was good. Purely, completely good. He saw the best in everyone, made everyone feel loved. "You miss him," I said softly. "Every day, every hour." He kissed my hair. "But I'm starting to understand that missing him doesn't mean I can't love you too. Gabriel taught me that love multiplies. It doesn't divide. Loving you doesn't take away from what I had with him. It adds to it. Tell me about you," he said another time, his fingers tracing patterns on my skin while we waited for his knot to go down. "Tell me why you hate Christmas." So I told him. About growing up poor, watching my parents stress every December about money they didn't have. About working retail since I was 16, watching people become monsters over sales and presents and things that didn't matter. About the pressure, the commercialization, the way Christmas became about consumption instead of connection. I let the ugly parts overshadow the beauty. "And now?" he asked. "Now I'm learning." I looked up at him. "You and Gabriel built something incredible here. Real Christmas. Magic that matters. I want to be part of that." "You already are," he said, and kissed me deeply. On the 3rd day, when my heat finally broke and his rut subsided, we lay tangled together in the nest room, exhausted and bonded in ways I hadn't expected. "I need to tell you something," Nicholas said quietly. "What?" "The clamming bite, when I bit you during your heat." He touched the mark on my neck, still fresh, still healing. "It's permanent. We're bonded now, mated." My heart stopped. "What?" "Christmas magic amplifies bonds formed at the North Pole. What would normally be a temporary heat bond is," he swallowed hard, "permanent. We're true mates now. Our scents are mingled. Our emotions are connected. We're bound." I should have been angry, should have felt trapped. Instead, I felt relief. "Good," I said. His eyes widened. "Good?" "I love you," I said simply. "I didn't plan to, didn't want to, but I do. I love you. And if Christmas magic decided to make it permanent, then maybe the magic knows what it's doing." "You love me?" he repeated like he couldn't believe it. "I love you. Even though you're grumpy and sad and you work too hard and you don't eat enough, even though you're still grieving and you always will be, even though this is complicated and messy and probably insane." I cupped his face. "I love you." He kissed me, hard, desperate. "I love you too," he whispered against my lips. "Gabriel's gone, but you're here, and you're mine, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you know how much you mean to me." Big promises, Alpha. I keep my promises. We stayed in the nest room for another hour, just holding each other, feeling the new bonds settle into place. Then reality crashed back. "What day is it?" I asked suddenly. "December 21st, Nicholas said, checking his watch. My stomach dropped. "That means—"
3 days until Christmas Eve. His expression went serious. 3 days to finish preparations. The toys are ready, the lists are complete, the reindeer are harnessed. But you, he touched my face gently, you need to rest. You just came out of heat. "I'm fine." "You're not fine. You're exhausted. Your body needs—" "The children need Christmas," I interrupted. "That's more important than me being tired. Come on." I stood up, wincing at the soreness. "We have work to do." December 24th arrived faster than I thought possible. The sleigh was ready. The reindeer were harnessed, 9 of them, including Rudolph in the lead, his nose glowing bright enough to light the Arctic night. 9 billion presents loaded through magic, all of them perfect, all of them filled with love. I stood in the full Santa suit, red velvet trimmed with white fur, black boots, the hat, all of it. I looked ridiculous. I looked perfect. "Ready?" Nicholas asked. He wore his head elf uniform, forest green with gold buttons, elegant and official. He looked incredible. "No," I said honestly. "I'm terrified." "Good. Gabriel was terrified every year. The fear means you care." He stepped close, adjusted my hat. "You're gonna be perfect. The children are gonna love you. The magic is gonna sing. You're gonna bring joy to billions of kids tonight." "What if I mess up?" "You won't." He kissed me softly. "I believe in you. Gabriel's memory believes in you. The magic believes in you. And most importantly, you believe in you. I've watched you transform over these 3 weeks. You're not the bitter retail worker who arrived here anymore. You're Santa, real Santa, chosen and blessed and perfect." "I love you," I said, emotion choking me. "I love you too." He pressed his forehead to mine. "Now go. You have children waiting. I'll be here when you get back. Promise?" "Promise. Now go. Save Christmas, Santa." I climbed into the sleigh. Rudolph turned to look at me, his nose pulsing with light. "Ready?" "Ready," I said. He launched. Flying was incredible. The moment the reindeer took off, magic exploded through me. I felt everything, every child who believed, every wish, every hope, every dream. 9 billion connections, all of them lighting up like stars in my consciousness. We flew. Around the world, millions of homes, billions of wishes granted. Every chimney, every window, every door. I delivered presents with love, with care, with the absolute certainty that these children mattered. I saw their faces when they woke up, felt their joy like sunshine in my chest. The little girl who got the wooden horse, she cried when she saw it, held it like treasure, whispered starlight over and over. The boy who'd wanted the robot, he screamed with happiness, showed his mom, told her Santa was real and had remembered him. Child after child after child, joy spreading like wildfire across the globe. This was what Gabriel had loved, why he'd given 50 years to this job. This was what I loved now, being Santa, spreading hope, making magic real. When the last present was delivered and the sun was rising on December 25th, I guided the reindeer home, back to the North Pole, back to Nicholas. He was waiting at the landing pad with cheering elves. I climbed down from the sleigh, exhausted and exhilarated and changed. Nicholas ran to me, lifted me, and spun me around. "You did it! Christmas is saved! The magic is perfect! You're perfect!" "I love this," I said, laughing and crying at the same time. "I love being Santa. I love the children. I love the magic. I love this place. I love—" "Me?" he asked, setting me down, his eyes hopeful. "You," I confirmed. "So much. Forever." He kissed me while the elves cheered, and the reindeer danced, and the northern lights painted the sky in celebration. "So you'll stay? You'll be Santa? You'll be mine?" I looked at the workshop, at the elves who'd become family, at the reindeer who'd accepted me, at the magic that hummed through everything, bright and beautiful and right, at Nicholas, my alpha, my mate, my future. "Yes," I said, "I'll stay, forever." But that night, alone in our room, my room now, not Gabriel's anymore, Nicholas woke me up with urgency in his voice. "Noel, wake up." I sat up, groggy. What's wrong? The magic. Something's... He stopped, listened. Do you feel it? I reached out with my senses, felt for the Christmas magic that had become as natural as breathing, and felt it pulsing, changing, growing. What is that? I whispered. I don't know, Nicholas said, but it's coming from the workshop. We need to... A knock on the door. Urgent. Panicked. Jingleberry burst in without waiting. You need to come, now. Something's happening in the vault.
Appreciate you watching. Hit subscribe, like, and share. See you in the next story.